sumugod sa isang lalaki sa isang popular na picnic ground sa India.
Nakaligtas naman kaya ang lalaking ito mula sa pag-atake ng hayop? Aalamin natin yan mula sa mga detalye ng balitang ibabahagi maya-maya. Magandang gabi, ako po si Rikki Mathay.
Ako si Alagao Flores, ito ang mata ng Agila International para naman sa mga headlines ngayong Martes ng gabi.
Signal number 2, itinaas sa ilang lugar sa Pilipinas dahil sa bagyong Christine.
Investigasyon ng Senado sa war on drugs nakatakdang simulan sa Lunes.
China, magsasagawa ng live firing exercises sa Taiwan Strait.
US President Joe Biden nababahala sa pag-leak ng Israel attack plans sa Iran.
At alamin natin ang isa sa Pilipinas na nakapasok sa 2024 World's Best Islands. Maiging minomonitor na pag-asa ang pagkilos ng bagyong Christine sa loob ng Philippine Area of Responsibility.
Ayon sa datos ng State Weather Bureau, namataan ang mata ng bagyo sa silangan ng Daet, Camarines Norte, bandang alas 5 ng hapon. Gumagalaw ito sa direksyong Pahilagang Kanluran sa bilis na 15 km per hour na may lakas na 75 km per hour at bugsong 90 km per hour. Itinaas na ang storm signal number 2 sa Catanduanes, eastern portion ng Camarines Norte, eastern portion ng Camarines Sur, eastern portion ng Albay, eastern portion ng Sorsogon at northeastern portion ng Northern Samar. Signal number 1 naman sa Ilocos Norte at Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, Apayao, Kalinga, Abra Mountain Province, Ifugao, Benguet, Cagayan, Babuyan Islands, Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Aurora, Nueva Ecija, Tarlac, Zambales, Bataan, Pampanga, Bulacan, Metro Manila, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Rizal, Quezon Province, Polillo Islands, Occidental Mindoro, Lubang Islands, Oriental Mindoro, Masbate, Ticao at Burias Islands, Marinduque, Romblon at natitirang bahagi ng Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Albay, Sorsogon, Eastern Samar, Northern Samar, Samar, Leyte, Biliran, Southern Leyte, Dinagat Islands, Surigao del Norte at Siargao, Bukas, Grande Group. Samantala, dahil na rin sa inaasahang lakas ng bagyong Christine bukas, ay nagsuspindi na ng klase sa mga sumusunod na lugar. Sa Metro Manila, walang pasok sa mga syudad ng Caloocan, Las Piñas, Malabon, Mandaluyong, Marikina, Muntinlupa, Parañaque, Pasay, Quezon City, Taguig, Valenzuela. Sa Bicol Region, walang pasok sa Albay, Camarines Norte, Sorsogon. Sa Calabarzon, walang pasok sa Batangas Province, Cavite Province, Laguna, Quezon Province at Rizal. Sa Central Luzon, walang pasok sa Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Tarlac Province. Walang pasok rin sa Mountain Province, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, Occidental Mindoro, Romblon, Cebu City, Negros Occidental at Antique.
Hindi dumalo si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa pagdinig ng Quad Committee ng Kamara ngayong araw. Humingi ng paumanhin ang dating Pangulong Duterte sa komite sa pamamagitan ng isang liham na ipinadala ng kampo ni Duterte sa Quadcom. Ayon kay Attorney Martina Delgra, hindi nakadalo ang dating Pangulo sa nasabing pagdinig dahil hindi maganda ang kanyang pakiramdam, dulot na rin umano ng kanyang edad. Gayon din, kararating lamang niya sa Davao mula Maynila nang natanggap niya ang imbitasyon ng Kamara. Tiniyak naman ni Attorney Delgra na sisikapin ng dating Pangulo na makadalo sa mga susunod na pagdinig ng komite. Una nang ibinalita na nagsasagawa ng investigasyon ng Quadcom ukol sa issue ng war on drugs na nangyari noong panahon ng panunungkulan ni Duterte.
Sisimula ng investigasyon ng Senado sa umano'y extrajudicial killing sa war on drugs ng Duterte administration October 28, ayon kay Senador Coco Pimentel. Ayon sa senador, imbitado sina dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte at ibang mga sangkot sa issue. Dati nang pina-fast track ni Pimentel ang investigasyon sa war on drugs. Sa naging hearing naman ng Quad Committee ng Kamara ay napag-alaman na sangkot umano sina Senador Christopher Bongo at Ronald De La Rosa sa isang reward system para sa nationwide implementation ng war on drugs. Ang Senate Blue Ribbon Committee ang mangunguna sa naturang investigasyon kung saan presiding officer si Senador Pimentel.
Iniulat ni Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla na isinusulong niya ang pagbabago sa istruktura ng Philippine National Police o PNP. Ayon kay Secretary Remulla, ang pagtugon sa tinatawag na top-heavy na organisasyon ng kapulisan ay magiging isa sa kanyang mga prioridad. Ipinaliwanag niya na sa kasalukuyan ay napakaraming general na subordinates o tauhan at mula sa higit 130 mga general ay plano niyang ibaba ang bilang na ito sa 25 na lamang. Nais rin ni Remulla na ayusin ang mga area police commands o magkaroon ng reorganization sa PNP dahil maraming redundancies sa mga posisyon ng PNP. Naunang nanawagan si PNP Chief Police General Romel Marbil sa mga lawmakers na amyendahan ang Republic Act 6975 o ang DILG Act of 1991 na siyang lumikha sa organisasyon ng PNP upang maisaayos ang problema ng istruktura nito.
Umaasa ang Department of Transportation na dadami ang railway system sa Pilipinas kapag nakumpleto na ang mga railway projects nito taong 2030. Sinabi ni Transport Assistant Secretary for Railway Georgette Aquino na ang umiiral na railway line sa Pilipinas ay aabot sa 270 kilometers. Inaasahan na hahaba ang railway lines na ito hanggang 1,223 kilometers kapag nakumpleto na ang mga proyekto. Kasama na rito ang North-South Commuter Railway Project, ang Metro Manila Subway at ilang malalaking rail projects. Tinukoy naman ni Transport Undersecretary Timothy John Batan na tumaas din ang pondo ng ahensya para sa mga rail projects, kung saan ay umabot na nga sa 616 billion pesos ang pondo ng ahensya sa railway projects para sa taong ito.
Binasag na ng panganay na anak ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos ang kanyang katahimikan at sinagot ang mga pambabatikos ni Vice President Sara Duterte laban sa kanyang pamilya. Sa isang pahayag, sinabi ni Senior Deputy Majority Leader at Ilocos Norte Congressman Ferdinand Alexander Sandro Marcos na hindi na niya magagawang manahimik pa sa mga naging pahayag ni Vice President Sara kagaya ng payo ng kanyang ama. Hindi nagustuhan ni Sandro ang banta ng Vice Presidente na ipakuhukay ang bangkay ng kanyang lolo na si dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Sr. Gayon din ang sinabi ni Duterte na naisip itong pugutan ng ulo ang kanyang ama na siyang nakaupong Pangulo ngayon sa Pilipinas. Binigyan diin pa ni Sandro na bilang isang Ilocano ay responsibilidad niyang magsalita sa kalaspastanganan binitawan ni Vice President Sara. Ipinaliwanag din niya na walang sinabi si Pangulong Marcos na masasabing pagsaway sa mga tirada ng Vice Presidente. Payo ni Sandro kay Vice President Sara, hindi dapat baliwalain ang mental health at hangad niya ang maayos na kalagayan ng Vice Presidente.
Samantala, sinabi ni Vice President Sara Duterte na handa siyang sumailalim sa isang neuropsychiatric exam sa harap mismo ng publiko. Payag din ang Vice Presidente na magpa-drug test.
Wala akong problema doon. Game tayo. I will call that neuropsychiatric exam.
Ngunit hinamon din niya ang lahat ng mga mambabatas na kakandidato para sa 2025 midterm elections na magpasuri sa isang drug test.
And as a voter, I demand na magpa-drug test sila. Kayong lahat, mga kababayan, as voters, you demand na magpa-drug test ang mga congressional candidates. Dahil kung unstable ako, sa paningin ko, unstable din sila.
Binitiwan ni Vice President Sara ang mga nasabing salita matapos siyang buweltahan ng ilang mga politiko kabilang na sina Ilocos Norte Congressman Ferdinand Alexander Sandro Marcos at Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla ukol sa mga pambabatikos niya kay Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Matatandaan ay nilarawan naman ni Remulla na lubhang nakababahala ang sinabi ng Vice Presidente na ipahuhukay nito ang labi ni dating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Sr. at ipatatapon sa West Philippine Sea kung hindi patuloy pa rin siyang aatakihin ng mga kaalyado ng Pangulo. Binanggit pa ni Remulla na pinag-aaralan ng Department of Justice kung may legal na consequences ang mga sinabi ni Vice President Sara. Dahil dito, sinabi ni Vice President na walang alam sa batas si Justice Secretary Remulla. Ipinaliwanag pa ng opisyal ang pagkakaiba ng desecration of a body at aktwal na desecrating a body.
We have a Secretary of Justice na hindi alam ang batas. There is a big difference between talking about desecration a body and actually desecrating a body. Talking about desecration of a body is not desecration of the dead. Dapat sana siguro as a lawyer maintindihan niya yon kagad. But apparently sabi nga ng iba, pag mabilis ka, meron talagang mga babagal ang pikon.
Kaugnay nito, sinabi ni Vice President Sara na hindi na siya magbibigay ng komento ukol sa mga naging pahayag ni Sandro laban sa kanya. Dahil anya, ang natural affinity ng mga anak ay pagtanggol ang kanilang mga magulang.
Sa iba pa mga balita, pinuri ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ang Philippine Coast Guard o PCG, partikular na ang mahalagang papel na ginagampanan nito sa pagbabantay na malawak na exclusive economic zone ng Pilipinas. Batay sa datos ng gobyerno, higit sa 37 milyong kilometro ng baybayin ng Pilipinas ang minomonitor ngayon ng PCG. Sa talumpati ni Pangulong Marcos sa 123rd anniversary ng PCG, pinasalamatan din ito ang Coast Guard at tiniyak niya ang suporta ng administrasyon sa PCG.
You protect our maritime borders, standing resolute in the face of those who would exploit our resources or threaten our way of life, rescuing our fishermen on the sea when typhoons strike, and ensuring that our seas are not pillaged by illegal poachers. You are the steady hand that keeps us upright. This administration reaffirms its support to efforts that will improve your fleet and our air assets as well, to maritime domain awareness, weapons capability, and necessary infrastructure development. This will boost your capacity to respond to any operations.
Ang Philippine Coast Guard ay isa rin sa mga ahensyang tumutugon sa mga iligal na gawaing pandagat, nangangalaga sa pagkasira ng kapaligiran at nagbibigay proteksyon sa mga mangingisdang Pilipino laban sa mga poachers, lalo na sa panahon ng bagyo. Kinilala rin ng Pangulo ang mga pagsubok na kinakaharap ng PCG. Kabilang na anya rito ang climate change, rising sea levels at geopolitical tensions.
Indeed, your emergence as a key player in our nation's maritime security reflects your commitment to service and exemplifies how to advance while remaining true to your core mission. But to do this, with the added weight of isolation, the dangers of an unpredictable sea, and the constant pressure of protecting our resources, then it becomes more than just a job. It is a responsibility that speaks to the core of what it means to serve this country.
Susunod, muling planong paglunsad ng military exercise ng China sa Taiwan Strait. Alamin!
South Korea nangako na tutugunan ang lumalakas na alyansa ng Russia at ng North Korea.
At alamin rin na ang mas pinaigting na airstrikes ng Israel sa Lebanon. Mga detalye ng mga balita sa pagbabalik na Mata ng Agila International.
This portion is...
Hey everyone!
Na-miss niyo ba kami?
Well, don't worry, because soon you will be seeing us live! You heard right, we are going live. That means you can interact more with us.
Yes, at hindi lang yon. Siyempre, may mga bagong aabangan din kayo galing sa amin.
Yup, new segments and new fun things to do. At syempre, mas lalong akong gaganda at mas lalong pupogi si Art.
Okay. Anyway, kaya please stay tuned sa Season 2 ng Art Academy!
Get together sa Net 25.
Nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba, sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa new era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Naglungsad ang China ng live firing exercises sa Taiwan Strait ngayong araw. Ito ay ilang araw matapos dumaan sa naturang lugar ang mga barkong pangdigma ng Amerika at Canada at kasunod ng kamakailang military drills ng China. Sa anunsyo ng Maritime Safety Administration o MSA sa southeastern city ng Pingtan, isasagawa umano ang gunfiring sa limitadong lugar malapit sa Chinese mainland coast at nasa 105 kilometers ang layo mula sa self-ruled island ng Taiwan. Nag-abiso rin ang ahensya na ipagbabawal ang mga barko na pumasok sa lugar kung saan isasagawa ang live firing sa klaw ang 150 square kilometers. Hindi naman ito tinukoy kung ang Chinese force ang magsasagawa ng live firing o kung ano ang layunin nito.
Binatikos ng Taiwan ang planadong live fire exercises na isinasagawa ng China sa Taiwan Strait. Ayon sa Taiwanese Defense Ministry na kahit bahagi ito ng isang taunang military exercise ang Taiwan, ay posible ring paraan ito upang pigilan ang Taipei na maglayag sa katubigan na kagitna sa kanila ng Beijing. Dagdag pa ng sangay ng gobyerno na wala namang intensyong labanan ng Taiwan ang nasabing ehersisyo. Subalit, hindi nila hahayaan lamang ito dahil may posibilidad umano itong baguhin ang magiging ugnayan nila sa Taiwan Strait sa mga susunod na taon. Sabi naman ni Premier Cho Jung-tai, hindi dapat nagsasagawa ng ganitong klase military exercise dahil tila banta lamang ito sa katatagan at kapayapaan ng rehiyon. Sabi pa niya, kahit gaano pa kalaki ang naturang war games ang China ay dapat iwasan nilang mapadala sa rehiyon na malapit sa kanilang bansa dahil nagdudulot lamang ito ng pagtaas ng tensyon ng dalawa nilang kampo.
共军这种非理性的挑衅军演 不但会危及台海的安全情势，无益于两岸关系的良性发展，更严重地破坏印太区域的安全情势，威胁以规则为基础的国际秩序。
Nagkasundo ang China at India na lulutasin ang kanilang alitang teritorial at na sila'y magsisimulang ipatupad ang mga solusyon sa lalong madaling panahon. Matagal nang itinatag ang tinatawag na line of actual control bilang tentative demarcation line sa mga border ng dalawang bansa. Gayunpaman, paminsan-minsan ay nagkakaroon ng sagupaan sa pagitan ng mga militar nila sa kahabaan ng linyang ito mula pa noong 1959. Karamihan sa mga ito ay na-de-escalate na, ngunit muling sumiklab ang alitan matapos ang sunod-sunod na labanan noong 2020 na nagresulta sa mga pagkamatay ng ilang dosenang mga sundalo. Ngayong Lunes, inanunsyo ng India at China na nagkasundo na ang dalawang bansa sa tamang patrolling arrangements upang maiwasan ang karagdagang tensyon. Bagamat wala pang detalyeng inilalabas hinggil sa kasunduan.
Inanunsyo po ng South Korea na unti-unti nilang isasagawa ang mga countermeasures laban sa pakikipagtulungan ng militar ng Russia at North Korea. Ginawa ni South Korean Deputy National Security Advisor Kim Tae-woo ang pahayag na ito matapos ang isang pagpupulong kaugnay ng pagpapadala ng mga tropang North Korean sa Ukraine. Nangako siyang makikipagtulungan ng Seoul sa mga kaalyado nito upang tiyakin ang mga countermeasures laban sa dalawang bansa. Ipinahiwatig din ng Presidential Office ng South Korea ang posibilidad ng pagbibigay ng mga offensive weaponry sa Ukraine bilang tugon sa issue na ito.
Sinabi ng Estados Unidos na mapanganib at nakababahala ang pagpapadala ng puwersang militar ng North Korea para tulungan ang Russia sa pakikipaglaban nito sa Ukraine. Si JC Yumul para sa report.
Sinabi ni Deputy U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Robert Wood, sa Security Council na kinukonsulta nito ang mga kaalyado ukol sa epekto ng pagpapadala ng North Korea ng mga sundalo sa Russia na tutulong lumaban sa Ukraine. Aniya, ito ay mapanganib, nakababahala at nagpapatunay ng paglalim na relasyon sa pagitan ng DPRK at Russia.
In its failure to overthrow Ukraine's democratically elected government, Russia is seeking to expand the conflict. We have seen reports the DPRK has sent forces and is preparing to send additional soldiers to Ukraine to fight alongside Russia. If true, this marks a dangerous and highly concerning development and an obvious deepening of the DPRK-Russia military relationship. We are consulting with our allies and partners on the implications of such a dramatic move. If Russia is indeed turning to the DPRK for manpower, it would be a sign of desperation on the part of the Kremlin. We know Russia is suffering extraordinary casualties on the battlefield due to the bravery and effectiveness of the Ukrainian military. Russia cannot sustain its aggression without assistance, which means this war ends if Iran and the DPRK stop providing military assistance and if China stops transferring dual-use war components.
Samantala, inakusuhan ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ang Pyongyang ng paghahanda sa pagpapadala ng 10,000 sundalo sa Russia. Sinabi ni Ukrainian UN Ambassador Sergei Kasysya sa Security Council na ang mga ito ay inaasahang makikipaglaban sa Ukraine sa 1 ng Nobyembre. Ayon naman sa spy agency ng South Korea, noong isang linggo, nagpadala ang North Korea ng 1,500 na Special Forces troops sa malayong silangang Russia. Sila, aniya, ay magsasanay sa local military bases at malamang ay madedeploy sa giyera sa Ukraine. Samantala, itinanggi ng Kremlin noong Lunes na sagutin ang mga tanong ukol sa kung makikipaglaban nga ba ang mga sundalong North Korean sa Ukraine. Ngunit ayon kay spokesman Dmitry Peskov, ang mga kooperasyon ng Moscow sa Pyongyang ay hindi nakatuon laban sa third countries. JC Yumul para sa mata ng Agila International, Trusted, Connected, On Point.
Kinundena ng Ukraine si UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres nitong Lunes dahil sa pagtanggap nito ng imbitasyon mula kay Russian President Vladimir Putin para dumalo sa isang BRICS summit. Noong nakaraang buwan, isang tagapagsalita ng Foreign Ministry ng Russia ang nagsabing nagpahayag si Guterres ng intensyong pumunta sa Kazan para sa summit. Bagamat hindi pa ito kunikumpirma ng UN at tanging nabanggit lamang na magkakaroon pa lamang ng pahayag ukol sa mga biyahe ni Guterres sa mga susunod na araw. Subalit wala pang kumpirmasyon. Naglabas na kaagad ng pahayag ang Foreign Ministry ng Ukraine laban dito. Ayon sa ahensya, mas pinili umano ni Guterres na dumalo sa summit ng Russia matapos tanggihan ang imbitasyon ng Kiev na dumalo sa Global Peace Summit sa Switzerland. Dagdag pa ng Kiev na ito na ang isang malaking pagkakamali dahil hindi ito makatutulong sa pagsulong ng kapayapaan at lalo lamang nitong sinisira ang reputasyon ng United Nations.
Samantala, dumating na sa Kyiv, Ukraine, si U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Nakasama nito si Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at Defense Minister Rustem Umerov kung saan tinalakay nila ang ilang mga dagdag na armas laban sa Russia. Ang pang-apat at tinatansyang huling pagbisita ni Lloyd Austin bilang hepe ng Pentagon ay nakatuon sa pag-iiwan ng magandang legasiya para sa relasyon ng Ukraine at Estados Unidos sa harap ng paparating na eleksyon.
So President Biden has chosen the path of mutual responsibility and common security. And we have chosen to share the responsibility of ensuring that Ukraine remains sovereign and free. And make no mistake, the United States does not seek war with Russia. And even as Putin makes profoundly reckless and dangerous threats about nuclear war, we will continue to behave with the responsibility that the world rightly demands of a nuclear-armed state.
Sa isang pahayag naman sa X ay sinabi ni Zelensky na nais niyang talakayin ang pag-aatras ng babala ni Biden na bawal gamitin ang mga armas na ibinigay ng US sa loob ng teritoryo ng Russia. Sa kabila naman ito ay hindi inanunsyo ni Austin kung magpapalit ba ang polisiya ng US ukol sa hiling ng Ukraine. Sa halip ay inanunsyo nito ang parating na military package na ipadadala ng kanyang bansa na bubuuin ng karagdagang bala at armas, armored vehicles at anti-tank weapons na maaaring gamitin para madepensahan ng Kyiv ang kanilang teritoryo.
Now, there is no silver bullet, no single capability will turn the tide. No one system will end Putin's assault. What matters is the way that Ukraine fights back. What matters is the combined effects of your military capabilities. And what matters is staying focused on what works.
Magugunit ang makailang ulit na humingi ng tulong si Zelensky sa US para tuluyang talunin ang Russia. Pinangalanan pa nito ang North Korea at Iran kung saan sinabi nitong hindi nila hahayaan ang Ukraine na mapunta sa Russia dahil kapag nakuha ni Putin ang Ukraine ay hindi malayong gagalawan nito ang kabuuan ng Europa.
So we must continue to squarely face, the specter of an aggressive Russia, backed by other autocrats from North Korea and Iran. If Ukraine falls under Putin's boot, all of Europe will fall under Putin's shadow.
Ayon sa mga eksperto ay inaasahan ng White House na susuportahan ni Zelensky ang kampanya ni Kamala Harris na kaalyado ni Biden sa halip na kay Donald Trump na nagpahiwatig naman ng kanyang pag-aalangan sa pagpapatuloy ng suporta para sa Ukraine.
Ukraine's defenders have brought inspiration to the world and glory to Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!
Mas pinaigting pa ng Israel ang kanilang airstrike sa border nila ng Lebanon. Umabot sa 14 na magkakasunod na airstrike sa iba't ibang bayan ng Qiyam malapit sa border ng Israel ang tinamaan. Itinuturing kasi ng Israel ang nasabing lugar ay siyang pinakamalaking kuta ng mga Hezbollah. Iginiit ng Israel Defense Forces na hindi sila titigil hanggang hindi nauubos ang militanteng grupo ng Hezbollah. Base naman sa tally ng Health Ministry ng naturang bansa ay nasa kabuuang 1,802 katao na ang mga napatay ng mga pinakawalang airstrikes ng Israel sa Lebanon mula nang simulan ito noong Setyembre 16. Noong mga nakarang araw lang ay nasawi ang nasa 87 katao sa inilunsad na airstrike ng Israel sa northern Gaza kung saan kabilang sa napatay ang mga bata. Karamihan sa mga naitalang kaswalidad ay sa southern Lebanon at Nabatia. habang pumalo na sa 9,330 ang bilang ng mga nasugatan kung saan naitalang karagdagang injuries sa Bekaa region. Ang panibagong pambobomba ay nagpatuloy nitong linggo kung saan naglunsad ang Israel ng airstrikes sa southern suburbs ng Beirut at sa mga bayang malapit sa border ng Lebanon at ng Israel.
יש כאן נזקים גדולים מאוד, שרשרת פיקוד שלמה נמחקת. חיזבאללה מסתיר הרוגים, הוא מסתיר מפקדים הרוגים. אנחנו מעריכים שאנחנו באזור ה-1500 פעילי חיזבאללה הרוגים, ואנחנו שמים את הערכות שלנו באזורים השמרניים. אני מניח שיש יותר ואנחנו לא יודעים, בהרבה מאוד תקיפות. אני חושב שגם איראן לא מבינה מה קורה לחיזבאללה פה. וזו זרוע מרכזית שלו שהוא בנה עליה, וזה דבר חשוב מאוד. ואנחנו משתדלים שכל יום תהיה הפתעה קשה מאוד לחיזבאללה, ואתם תביאו את ההפתעות שלכם. ההפתעות זה גם להביא את ההישגים, וזה גם למנוע הישגים של האויב.
Tinatarget na Israel ang financial arm ng grupo ng Hezbollah na si Al-Qard al-Hassan at ilang malalaking lugar sa Beirut. Ilang bahagi naman sa timog na bahagi ng Beirut ang inumpisahan ng paulanan ng airstrikes ng Israel. Kasunod nito ay nagumpisa na ring magbigay ng mga anunsyo ng evacuation warning sa timog na bahagi ng Beirut, silangang bahagi ng Bekaa Valley at ilang bahagi sa timog ng Lebanon. Samantalang pangunahing target naman na si Al-Qard al-Hassan ay hindi pa natutukoy, kaya naman ang mga airstrikes ay tatama sa kabuuan ng Lebanon. Kasabay naman ito ay inanunsyo ni Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari na may malawak na istrukturang itinayo ang Hezbollah sa ilalim ng isang ospital sa Beirut, kung kaya't patuloy na inoobserbahan ng Israeli Air Force ang compound, ngunit hindi naman sila nagtatangkang patamaan ito.
I am going to declassify intelligence on a site that we did not strike, where Hezbollah has millions of dollars in gold and cash, in Hassan Nasrallah's bunker. Where is the bunker located? Directly under El Sahel Hospital, in the heart of Beirut, in the Dakhia. This is the hospital. From both sides you can see an entry and exit. Those are entry and exit tunnel shafts from the underground, for the underground bunker. The entrance is located in the Al Mahdi building, and the exit is located in the El Sahel Center building. This is the bunker. It contains rooms, beds, and infrastructure for long stays, and the ability to direct combat from underground. Hezbollah built this bunker directly underneath this hospital. There are hundreds of millions of dollars in cash and gold inside the bunker right now. The Israeli Air Force is monitoring the compound, as you can see. However, we will not strike the hospital itself.
Muli magtutungo sa Middle East si U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken para isulong ang ceasefire.
Throughout the region, Secretary Blinken will discuss the importance of bringing the war in Gaza to an end, securing the release of all hostages, and alleviating the suffering of the Palestinian people. He will continue discussions with counterparts on post-conflict period planning and emphasize the need to chart a new path forward that enables Palestinians to rebuild their lives and realize their aspirations free from Hamas's tyranny.
Ayon sa White House, ito na ang ika-11 biyahe ni Blinken sa nasabing rehiyon. Layon pa rin nitong pagsisimulan ang peace deal negotiations sa Gaza at ang pagbabawas sa tensyon sa Lebanon. Nakatakda makipagpulong din ito sa mga mediators ng Qatar at Egypt para tuluyang hikayatin ang Israel at Hamas at tumugon sa peace talks. Magugulitang nagbanta ang Iran ng matinding pagganti matapos mapatay ang Hamas leader na si Yahya Sinwar.
Ayon sa White House, lubhang nababahala si President Joe Biden sa naganap na leak ng U.S. government documents. Sinabi ni White House spokesperson John Kirby noong nakarang linggo ay nabigla ang Pentagon noong makita nilang naisa publiko sa social media platform na Telegram ang mga naturang dokumento. Ang mga dokumentong pinag-uusapan ay naglalaman ng intelligence assessments ng Pentagon ukol sa pag-atake ng Israel sa Iran. Kasama rin sa naturang mga dokumento ang pagsusuri ng National Geospatial Intelligence Agency sa mga satellite images ng Israeli military activities. Hindi pa klaro sa mga ahensya kung ang mga naturang dokumento ay na-leak o na-hack mula sa kanilang database. Kinumpirma naman nila na nagsasagawa na ng isang internal investigation ang mga ahensya ng gobyerno ukol sa paglabas ng impormasyon.
Nagsalita na ang State Secretary ng Michigan State sa Estados Unidos ukol sa kanyang mga inaalala sa darating na 2024 presidential elections. Narito ang balita mula kay Bernhard Gonzaga.
Tinalakay ni Michigan State Secretary Jocelyn Benson ang mga alalahanin ukol sa presidential election sa 5 ng Nobyembre. Sa isang event noong isang buwan sa Detroit, binigyan diin ni Benson ang kahalagahan ng voter turnout. Ani Benson, titindi ang pagkalat ng false information. Aniya, ang pinakamapagkakatiwalaan ukol sa impormasyon sa botohan ay ang mga opisyal ng lokal na eleksyon.
We know false information about the accuracy and security of our election processes will ramp up now that voting has started, and it will only intensify as we get closer to Election Day. We also know state and local election officials are the best source for facts about voting and the election process.
Binanggit ni Benson ang may higit sa 1.8 million Michigan citizens na humingi na ng balota para sa eleksyon. Kabilang dito ang 1.6 million na nasa permanent absentee ballot list ng estado. Kinilala rin ni Benson ang mga legal na pagsubok at kasinungalingang umiikot sa proseso ng eleksyon.
And I can't keep track of all the lawsuits, the RNC, and the letters they send us, but it's very clear it's part of a larger pattern of trying to sow seeds of distrust in our elections and to make people lose trust in folks like myself and our local election officials. We have been doing so much more than ever before to help stay ahead of the misinformation and confirm people's knowledge of them. But it has been surprising to see, even in cases that get dismissed, how the seeds that are planted in their allegations really take hold in the mind of citizens and get people believing that ineligible people are participating in our elections in large numbers, which they're really not.
Binalikan din ni Benson ang mga nangyari noong 2020 election at binigyan din ang peligrong dala ng mga bantang kaugnay ng eleksyon. Aniya, alam nilang lalala ang mga ito sa mga darating na linggo. Dahil dito, tiniyag ni Benson ang kanilang pangakong poprotektahan ang integridad ng eleksyon sa Michigan.
We go into this election season knowing the truth and the law are on our side and will continue to be as we work to protect the votes and voices of every citizen in our state, no matter who they may support or how the election results may go.
Bernhard Gonzaga para sa Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Susunod, isang lalaki inataking bigla ng leopard sa India.
Argentinian football superstar Lionel Messi nakapagtala ng record sa kasaysayan ng MLS.
At Blade Runner 2049 creator kinasuhan si Elon Musk matapos makita ang pagkakahawig ng robotaxi sa kanyang pelikula. Iba pang detalye ng mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
This portion is brought to you by Robic Builders. This portion is brought to you by North Luzon Express Terminal.
Inatake ng isang leopard ang isang lalaki habang ito ay kumakain sa isang popular na picnic spot sa Shahdol, India. Kita po sa video ang pagsugod ng leopard sa lalaki. Kaagad namang sumaklolo ang mga kaibigan nito at lumapit sa lalaki at dito na kumaripas ang takbo ang leopard. Nagtama naman ang lalaki ng ilang minor injuries sa kanyang katawan. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, ang mismong leopard din ang umatake pala sa isang babae at pulis noong October 20.
Patay naman ang isang piloto ng isang eroplano sa Mexico matapos mag-crash ang sinasakyan nitong aircraft sa gitna ng airshow. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, kinilala ang piloto bilang si Charles Thomas Chuck Coleman. Nag-crash ang aircraft mga kalahating milya ng kanlurang bahagi ng Las Cruces International Airport. Nagsasagawa ng investigasyon ang New Mexico State Police, ang Federal Aviation Administration at ang National Transportation Safety Board sa insidente. Batay sa website ni Coleman, nakapagtanghal na siya sa higit sa 100 na mga airshows at naging aerobatic flight instructor sa 2022 film na Top Gun Maverick.
Paalala naman po para sa mga may maliliit na bata na inaalagaan dahil isang bata po ang lumabas sa bintana ng kanilang apartment sa Singapore. Nagkagulo na mga tao sa labas dahil walang railings o harang man lamang ang balcony na nasa ikatlong palapag ng building. Nakatayo lamang ang 3 taong gulang na bata sa isang maliit na espasyo sa labas ng balcony. May ilang lalaki na naghanda ng kumot sa ibaba ng apartment para saluhin ang bata sakaling tumalon o mahulog ito. Mabuti na lamang at may isang lalaking lumabas mula ng balcony o sa labas ng balcony upang iligtas ang bata sa tiyak na kapahamakan. Batay sa inisyal na ulat, walang kasama sa bahay ang bata kaya nakalabas ito ng balcony nila. Pansamantala munang ibinigay ang bata sa pangangalaga ng KK Women's and Children's Hospital habang patuloy ang investigasyon ng mga otoridad kung may kapabayaan ba ang mga magulang ng bata sa nangyari.
Ayon sa media sources, na-diagnose ang dating movie producer na si Harvey Weinstein na isang chronic bone marrow cancer. Anila sumasa ilalim si Weinstein sa isang treatment sa kulungan nito sa Rikers Island, New York. Matatandaan na nahatulan si Weinstein ng 23 taong pagkakakulong dahil sa mga kasong rape at sexual assault. Mahigit at 80 mga kababaihan ang nag-akusa sa dating movie producer ng harassment, sexual assault o rape. Kabilang narito ang mga kilalang aktres na sina Angelina Jolie, Gwyneth Paltrow at Ashley Judd.
Pinangalanan na po ng Walt Disney Company Board of Directors ang magiging chairperson of the board nito. Sa darating na January 2, 2025, si James P. Gorman na ang papalit kay Mark G. Parker bilang chairperson ng Disney. Si Gorman ang executive chairperson ng Morgan Stanley kung saan ay bababa ito sa kanyang pwesto sa December 31 ngayong taon. Inaasahan ng Disney Board na malaki ang magiging pakinabang ni Gorman sa kanila mula sa expertise at gabay na hatid nito sa kanila.
Hawak pa rin ni Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James ang titulong highest paid na manlalaro sa NBA. Ayon sa Forbes, na ito na ang pang-11 taon hawak ni James ang nasabing titulo. Ngayong 2024-2025 season kasi ay mayroon itong $48.7 million na sahod at estimated na $80 million na taunang kita mula sa mga endorsements, licensing, memorabilia at ilang mga business endeavors. Ang kanyang kabuuang $128.7 million ay siyang pinakamataas sa loob ng 15 taon sa kasaysayan ng NBA ranking ng Forbes. Nahigitan nito ang kanyang kabuuang kita kita noong nakaraang taon na mayroong mahigit $124.5 million. Nagsimula si James na mapabilang sa listahan noong 2014-2015 season nang mayroon itong kita na $64.6 million bawat taon. Nasa pangalawang pwesto naman si Golden State Warriors star Stephen Curry na mayroong yaman na $105.8 million. Pangatlong pwesto si Kevin Durant ng Phoenix Suns na mayroong $99.9 million. Pang-apat sa pwesto si Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo na mayroong kita na $93.8 million. At pang-limang pwesto naman si Damian Lillard na mayroong kita na $64.8 million.
Naging matagumpay ang launching ng Tianping-3 satellite ng China patungo sa outer space. Ayon sa China Manned Space Agency, pinalipad ang nasabing satellite gamit ang Long March 6 carrier rocket mula sa Taiwan Satellite Launch Center sa Shanxi Province. Layo ng Tianping-3 satellite sa magsagawa ng atmospheric space environment surveys at mga orbital prediction model corrections mula sa kalawakan.
Nakapag-develop ang mga scientists sa Colombia ng isang food supplement na kayang protektahan ang mga utak ng bubuyog o yung mga bees mula sa epekto ng pesticides. Kilala ang mga bubuyog bilang mga pollinators at ito ay esensyal para sa preservation ng natural ecosystem at food production. Nag-develop ang nasabing food supplement sa Rosario University sa Bogota sa partnership ng Department of Neuroscience sa University of Arizona at Columbian University o Columbia Universidad Javeriana. Sa tulong ng food supplement, tinutulungan nito na makontra ng mga bubuyog ang mga neurotoxins na madalas gamitin sa agrikultura. Ayon sa mga siyentipiko, ang formula ng food supplement ay gawa sa flavonoids, isang plant-based na secondary metabolites na tanyag sa taglay nitong health benefits.
Para ver cómo responden en un escenario de mundo real, y yo creo que eso es lo más emocionante, lo más empoderante de todo, y es, ya sabemos que hay cosas que ayudan, ya sabemos que hay moléculas que mejoran la salud de las abejas, ya sabemos que hay moléculas que previenen el daño neuronal causado por los pesticidas y otro montón de efectos que aún faltan por estudiar, y tenemos la opción de seguir indagando cómo funcionan estos métodos que ya están funcionando para poder optimizarlos y para poder ya empezar a ver una mejoría.
Patay ang Italian surfer na si Giulia Manfrini matapos na matusok ng swordfish sa Indonesia. Sa investigasyon ng mga otoridad, nagsasurf ang 36 anyos na si Manfrini sa karagatan ng Mentawai Islands Regency sa West Sumatra nang nangyari ang insidente. Sinubukan pang bigyan ng first aid ang biktima bago ito dalhin sa pagamutan, subalit hindi na umabot ng buhay. Isang malaking sugat umano ang natamo ng biktima sa kanyang dibdib.
Sa ibang balita, nagtala ng record sa kasaysayan ng Major League Soccer o MLS si Lionel Messi at ang kuponan nito na Inter Miami. Ito ay matapos na talunin nila ang New England Revolutions 6-2 sa huling araw ng regular season. Nakabawi kasi agad ang Miami nang makuha ng New England ang kalamangan ng 2 puntos. Pagpasok ng second half ay ipinasok si Messi at doon ay mabilis niyang nagawa ang isang hat-trick o ang 3-goal game kung saan ay pasok nito ang 2 goal sa 78th at 89th minute ng laro. Itinuturing ang 37 anyos na football star na bilang all-time leading goal scorer sa kasaysayan ng koponan ni David Beckham. Nalampasan ni Messi sa 33 goals ang dating record ng teammate nito na si Leonardo Campana na mayroong 32 puntos sa kabuuan ng season. Dahil rin sa panalo na siyang pang 22nd season ay nagtulak sa kabuuang points ng Miami sa 74 kung saan binasag nila ang MLS record na 73 points na hawak ng Revolutions taong 2021. Itinuturing ni Miami head coach Gerardo Gerardo Martino na ang panalo at record ay isang magandang paraan para lalo pa nilang galingan ang paglalaro. Sumakto naman ang kanilang panalo para mabigyan sila ng oportunidad na makilahok sa 32-team 2025 FIFA Cup World Cup o FIFA Club World Cup. Inanunsyo din ni FIFA President Gianni Infantino na sa Miami gaganapin ang opening game ng naturang torneo.
Well, it was really an incredible moment to be able to tell to the fans of Inter Miami, which has had an incredible season, record of points and everything, live, that they are qualified for the FIFA Club World Cup. They are now officially one of the 32 best clubs in the world already after a few years since their existence, and now they can start writing their story also on a global stage. So congratulations to Jorge Mas, to Jose Mas, to David Beckham, to all the fans here in Miami, La Familia, but the fans that Inter Miami already has all over the world. Well done.
Nahaharap po ngayon sa 7 pang panibagong kaso ng sexual abuse ang rapper na si Diddy Combs. Naghain ng reklamo laban kay Combs ang 4 na lalaki at 3 babae kaugnay sa sexual abuse na naganap umano sa New York, Los Angeles at Las Vegas. Ayon sa mga biktima, nangyari ang pang-aabuso mula noong 2000 na tumagal pa hanggang taong 2022. Dagdag pa rito ang ilang kasong inihain ng mga hindi nagpakilalang celebrities na naging biktima umano ni Combs. Sa kasalukuyan, naabot na sa 200 ng kaso ang nakahain kay Combs mula sa magkakasunod na reklamo. Iginiit naman ni Combs na walang katotohanan ang mga paratang at aligasyon ng mga pang-aabuso laban sa kanya. Samantala, nakatakdang humarap sa pagliliti sa susunod na taon si Combs para sa kaso ng sexual assault at sex trafficking.
Bida naman sa bagong Adidas sneaker ang tandem ng football player na si Lionel Messi at ng rapper na si Bad Bunny. Bahagi ng 3-way collaboration ng Adidas ang sapatos na Gazelle Indoor at F50 Soccer Cleat. Dagdag pa rito ay parehong kulay ginto ang sapatos bilang simbolo ng mga tropeo na naipanalo ni Messi sa kanyang karera sa football. Mapapansin din sa sapatos ang nakatatak na pirma ni Messi at Bunny sa bahaging 3-stripe branding. Kasama pa rito ang X na nasa heel ng sapatos na katapat naman ng jersey number ni Messi na 10. Samantalang kinumpirma ng Adidas na nakatakdang ilabas ang Messi at Bunny collection sa October 26 na nagkakahalaga ng $180 hanggang $300.
Samantala, sinampahan ang kaso ng pelikulang Blade Runner 2049 ang Tesla ni Elon Musk at ang Warner Brothers Discovery kaugnay sa paggamit ng larawan ng robotaxi. Ayon sa production firm Alcon Entertainment, hindi nila pinayagan ang kahilingan ng Warner Brothers na gamitin ang material na mula sa pelikula. Kasunod dito ng launching event ng Tesla para sa pinaka-inaabangan nitong robotaxi na pinangunahan pa ni Elon Musk. Giit ng Alcon, sa kabila ng kanilang pagtanggi sa Tesla at sa mga organizers ng event, ay gumamit pa ito ng artificial intelligence or AI para makabuo ng promotional imagery. Inakusahan din nila ang mga organizers ng false endorsement dahil sa ipinapakita nitong ugnayan sa pagitan ng Alcon Entertainment at ng Tesla. Samantala, sinabi naman ng direktor ng pelikula na iRobot noong 2022-04 na ginaya ni Musk ang disenyo ng mga robots at self-driving vehicles mula sa palabas.
Sa ibang balita, tampok po ngayon ang Palawan sa listahan ng 2024 World's Best Islands na dapat puntahan at bisitahin ng mga turista. Ayon sa travel magazine readers ay nasa ika-13 pwesto ang Palawan mula sa 25 best islands sa buong mundo. Ikinatuwa naman ng Tourism Secretary na si Cristina Garcia Frasco ang pagkilala na nagsisilbing inspirasyon para sa lumalagong turismo ng bansa. Dagdag pa niya ay hindi dapat palampasin sa pagbisita sa Palawan ay ang natatangi nitong beaches, limestone cliffs at mga lagoon. Bida rin sa lugar ang Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park na kinilala namang isa sa UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Samantala, nanguna sa listahan ng Maldives na sinundan ng Phuket sa Vietnam, Bali sa Indonesia, Milos sa Greece at Dominica.
Pinarangalan nitong Lunes, US President Joe Biden ang ilan sa mga natatanging filmmakers, singers, writers na nag-iwan na marka sa kultura ng Amerika. Nakatanggap ng award sa nasabing pagtitipon ang nasa 39 na katao para sa National Medals of Arts and National Humanities Medals. Kabilang dito ang filmmakers na sina Steven Spielberg, Spike Lee at Ken Burns, pati na rin ang singer na si Missy Elliott at Queen Latifah. Ibinigay naman ang arts medal sa dating singer na si Selena Quintanilla at sa artist na si Ruth Asawa, habang ang isa sa nakapag-uwi ng Humanities Medal ay si Anthony Bourdain. Nakabatay ang pagpili sa art medalist sa mga individual o grupong nagpakita ng matinding kontribusyon sa halaga ng arts sa US. Samantala, nakapaloob sa Humanities Medalist ang iba-ibang cultural institutions kagaya ng Mellon Foundation at a Paul Shop Film Workshop. Ayan, Nina.
Ayan, gusto natin mag-update ng
Katulad nga na nasabi natin kagabi, dumating na nga ngayon yung nagbabadyang masamang panahon.
Oo, at sabi nga natin ay mag-update tayo ngayong gabi sa mga kaganapan dyan. O so far, ganun pa din naman, wala pang nabago.
Wala pang nabago,
kanina.
except nadagdag din dyan ang City of San Juan at ang City of Pasigan. Confirmed na yan. Kaya't po sa mga updates lang, manatiling nakatutok po sa Net25 News and Information, Facebook, and other social media platforms.
That's right.
At sa ngayon po, mag-iingat po tayong lahat at magkita-kita po tayo muli bukas. At tandaan, narito kami para maghatid ng balita saan mang tako ng mundo. Muli ako po si Rikki Mathay.
Ako si Rikki Alagao Flores na nagsasabi ring ingat po tayong lahat. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga balita nangyari sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta naman tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa mata ng Agila World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina and Rikki. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for Net25 World News. On tonight's headlines, West devastating news is coming out of Falls City tonight as King County Sheriff's spokesperson Mike Mellis provides details on a tragic incident. Upon arrival at a home, they discovered 5 people dead, including 3 school-aged children.
Sort of a chaotic scene, but what they did when they entered the property is they immediately took one young male, teenage male, into custody. When deputies entered the residence and property itself, they discovered 5 deceased individuals inside the home.
With just over 2 weeks until Election Day, the struggle for every undecided vote in key battleground states is really getting intense. Vice President Kamala Harris is focusing on disenchanted Republican voters by teaming up with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney.
Needless to say, mine will not be a continuation of the Biden administration. I bring to it my own ideas, my own experiences.
On the other hand, former President Donald Trump is back in North Carolina.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here, Kamala.
And the news starts now. In the U.S., devastating news is coming out of Falls City tonight as King County Sheriff's spokesperson Mike Mellis provides details on a tragic incident that unfolded this morning in the U.S. What began as a call about gunfire quickly turned into one of the most heartbreaking scenes deputies have ever encountered. Upon arrival at a home, they discovered 5 people dead, including 3 school-aged children and 2 adults. Now, another teenager who lived at the residence was rushed to a Seattle hospital with injuries. And now law enforcement has a teenage suspect in custody, and this remains a very active investigation.
Sort of
Take
a
a look.
chaotic scene. So with that, let me tell you what happened this morning. The King County Sheriff's Office received a few phone calls this morning, 911 calls, about some kind of disturbance with gunfire at a residential house behind us, the 7700 block of Lake Alice Road. On the way out here, so deputies from all over the north part of King County came out here from Sammamish, Snoqualmie Pass, as far as Redmond Ridge, all rushed out here at this call. En route, we learned that there was a neighbor who had medical experience who was providing aid to an injured individual, presumably who had been shot but was surviving. When deputies got here, they discovered sort of a chaotic scene, but what they did when they entered the property is they immediately took one young male, teenage male, into custody. They discovered that there was in fact one injured teenager. That teenager was given medical attention and was quickly transported to Harborview Medical Center. It was determined that this is a very significant scene with multiple victims, a difficult scene. I want to be clear that what had happened here this morning had essentially concluded before the 911 call was made or before deputies arrived. In other words, there was no significant confrontation with the young man that was taken into custody. What had happened had happened. It was done. There was no, his detention happened without any issues or any injuries. Sure. So what our deputies discovered in the house was 2 adult individuals and 3 obvious juveniles. I'm not going to say what their roles in life. I can't even say for sure whether this is a parent and children. I just don't know the relationships. They could be any type of relationship. So I'm going to withhold confirming any relationships, but it does appear to be that this is a family incident, clearly a domestic violence incident that involves not only a young man who's now in significant trouble, and it involves firearms, young men and firearms.
With just over 2 weeks until Election Day, the struggle for every undecided vote in key battleground states is really getting intense. Vice President Kamala Harris is focusing on disenchanted Republican voters by teaming up with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, and they're hitting the trail in important blue wall states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. On the other hand, former President Donald Trump is back in North Carolina. Take a look. Trump kicked off his closing arguments today with loud rallies and harsh attacks on Harris. Speaking near an area in North Carolina that was hit by Hurricane Helene, he accused FEMA of misusing relief funds, claiming they spent money on illegal immigrants.
In the wake of this horrible storm, many Americans in this region felt helpless and abandoned and left behind by their government. And yet in North Carolina's hour of desperation, the American people answered the call much more so than your federal government, unfortunately. There were already plans to get Starlink. Well, they didn't get it because all I know is a top official who was working, who happens to be a Republican, was very concerned that they didn't have any communication and they weren't able to get Starlink. And I called Elon, who endorsed me, who gave me one of the most beautiful endorsements of anybody, frankly, and
add to the tension in his campaign against Harris. At a recent rally in Pennsylvania, Trump made waves with his vulgar comments.
North Carolina, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough. You can't take it anymore. She's the worst vice president in history. It's the worst administration in the history of our country. They make Jimmy Carter look like he was a great president. He's a very happy man. Kamala, you're the absolute epitome of I won't say it. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. Get out. Get out of here, Kamala.
Harris quickly responded to Trump's comments.
It is not about what is in their personal interest. It is about what is for and in the spirit of the public good. And this is a moment in this election that presents a real contrast among how I, as one of the two nominees, and my opponent, the former president, think of that duty. And it is a duty, by the way. And needless to say, mine will not be a continuation of the Biden administration. I bring to it my own ideas, my own experiences. But it is also about moving past what, frankly, I think has been the last decade of the American discourse being influenced by Donald Trump.
Tonight, Trump met with evangelical leaders in North Carolina. While some may not agree with his behavior, they do appreciate his policies and his push for more conservatives on the Supreme Court.
So I'm here tonight to deliver a simple message. It's time to stand up and save your country. But I blocked the IRS from using the Johnson Amendment to interfere with pastors' freedom of speech. I mean, we want to hear from our pastors. We don't want them to be shy. Where they take away your tax-exempt status because a pastor mentioned something that's slightly political, and I ended it. Kamala Harris has taken it away, and we're not. I'll tell you what. If you take it, she has taken your right away. I gave that to you, and they took it back, but we're going to give it back to you within the first week.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk is shaking things up by offering a whopping $1 million each to someone who signs his online petition supporting the First and Second Amendments of the U.S. Constitution, which guarantee free speech and gun rights. But not everyone is convinced this is the best way to boost voter registration. Brad Smith, a professor at Capital University Law School and a former Federal Election Commission chairman, shared his thoughts.
It's probably true to say that Musk is in an area that might be considered a gray area, that might be pushing the envelope a bit. The theory would have to go like this, however. Musk has made an offer to people to sign a petition, and he wants you to be a registered voter to do it. I've given some reasons why it might be important to him to have them be registered voters. And the argument would then be that, however, that no, he's really trying to sign up new voters. He's really paying you to register. I think that argument has a couple of weaknesses to it. One, once again, there are a number of reasons why he might want registered voters on the petition and not unregistered voters. Secondly, the vast majority of Pennsylvanians are already registered to vote, upwards of 80%. And there's nothing that prohibits any of those people from taking advantage of this. I've read the petition and the language that goes with the offer and so on. And from all I can tell, if you're registered to vote in Pennsylvania, if you've been registered there for 30 years, you can go get $100 from Elon Musk by signing this petition. So when we think about it that way, it really does look like a petition or an offer if you sign the petition. Now, he has, again, drawn who he wants to sign it, and that may give some people who are not registered an incentive to go register, but that's not what he's paying for.
While Smith acknowledges there could be arguments about the legality of this move, he believes it's more complicated than that.
He might want the list because he might want it for future campaigns. Maybe he wants to run for president in 4 years. I don't know. It'd be a good list to get, right? Or similarly, and perhaps more realistically, it's a great list if you now, after you have the list, you now go out and try to turn these people out to vote. In other words, it's a voter turnout list is what you've got, a group of people who are interested in the First Amendment, interested in the Second Amendment, pay attention to what Elon Musk is saying and doing on social media. And now you've got a great way for Elon Musk to contact them through phone banks or whatever else and try to boost turnout in the election. And the fact that you can plan your activity in such a way that you think it will help your political goals doesn't convert it into partisan illegal activity as long as you're willing to register all comers, everybody who comes along. And I think this is kind of similar to that. He's willing to pay any registered voter. Most Pennsylvanians are registered. It's a very inefficient way to register new voters, which suggests that maybe that's not his primary intent, or maybe not an intent at all. So I think in the end, although I can see the theory that one would use to argue that this violates the law, I think the better catch is that it does not. I think a prosecutor would look at this and say, I would have a very difficult time showing intent. I may not be able to show it at all. It may not even be there.
Russian Defense Ministry released a video showing the deployment of the nuclear-capable Yars mobile missile launchers. Strategic missile operators, the ministry said, practice various tasks, including intensive maneuvering on combat patrol routes. The nuclear-capable Yars mobile ballistic missile launchers form part of Russia's strategic nuclear forces and have a range of up to 11,000 kilometers, far enough to strike U.S. cities, and are capable of delivering multiple nuclear warheads. Now, Russian troops practice moving the missiles in the field over distances of up to 100 kilometers under camouflage, protecting them against air attack and enemy sabotage groups, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin said last month that Moscow had extended the list of scenarios that could prompt it to use nuclear weapons, effectively lowering the threshold for their use. And Ukraine accused Moscow of nuclear blackmail.
With the hands of the Ukrainian soldiers, Ukraine spares no lives in the interests of third countries, but Ukraine on its own doesn't use high-tech weapons. NATO does that, and the Russian army wages a war on its own and creates military solutions on its own, and software also is done on its own. It's proprietary, and this is the big difference between us. Over the recent years, I have been witnessing that the Russian army has become one of the most combat effective and high-tech armies in the world. And when NATO will get tired of waging this war against us, I'll just ask them. We were ready to continue fighting, to continue the struggle, and we will have the upper hand. We'll win, we'll prevail.
And NATO's new chief, Mark Rutte, has said the alliance will not be intimidated by Russian threats.
Russia remains the most significant and direct threat to the security of the Allies. And Putin is resorting to increasingly irresponsible rhetoric. Moscow may be loud, but NATO is strong. In a more uncertain world, it is vital that we continue to modernize our capabilities.
The United States is sounding the alarm at the UN over what they're calling a dangerously and highly concerning development. At issue, reports that North Korea may be sending troops to fight alongside Russian forces in Ukraine.
In its failure to overthrow Ukraine's democratically elected government, Russia is seeking to expand the conflict. We have seen reports the DPRK has sent forces and is preparing to send additional soldiers to Ukraine to fight alongside Russia. If true, this marks a dangerous and highly concerning development and an obvious deepening of the DPRK-Russia military relationship. We are consulting with our allies and partners on the implications of such a dramatic move. If Russia is indeed turning to the DPRK for manpower, it would be a sign of desperation on the part of the Kremlin. We know Russia is suffering extraordinary casualties on the battlefield due to the bravery and effectiveness of the Ukrainian military. Russia cannot sustain its aggression without assistance, which means this war ends if Iran and the DPRK stop providing military assistance and if China stops transferring dual-use war components.
And the stakes couldn't be higher. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky claims North Korea is preparing to deploy 10,000 soldiers to Russia.
War. So we know about 10,000 soldiers of North Korea that they are preparing to send fight against us. This is really urgent thing. And here we see this first step in this war, and this is the first step to a world war. Of course, it's understandable.
Ukraine's ambassador to the UN took it a step further today, warning these troops could be ready for combat by November 1st.
By dispatching a large number of combatants, North Korea will likely become an active belligerent in warfare. This is not merely an attack on the very integrity of the Security Council sanctions regime. It is a blatant attempt to undermine peace and security, not only in Europe and in Northeast Asia, but also across the entire globe. North Korea will expect a generous payoff from Moscow in return for its troop contribution. It could be either military or financial assistance. It could be nuclear weapons-related technology.
And this potential alliance marks a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict. The international community is watching closely as this situation develops. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is making another diplomatic push in the Middle East. On Monday, he headed to the region aiming to secure a much-needed ceasefire in Gaza. And Blinken is also focused on easing tensions in Lebanon, where the conflict threatens to spill over. The goal? To revive stalled negotiations and find a path to peace. Mathay likeness for more.
Blinken's latest journey to the troubled region comes as Israel intensifies its military campaign against Iran-backed militants, Hamas in the Gaza Strip and Hezbollah in Lebanon. He will try to revive negotiations to end the Gaza war and defuse the spillover conflict in Lebanon. U.S. State Department spokesman Vedant Patel says Blinken will hold meetings with leaders in Israel and neighboring Arab states.
Throughout the region, Secretary Blinken will discuss the importance of bringing the war in Gaza to an end, securing the release of all hostages, and alleviating the suffering of the Palestinian people. He will continue discussions with counterparts on post-conflict period planning and emphasize the need to chart a new path forward that enables Palestinians to rebuild their lives and realize their aspirations free from Hamas's tyranny.
Israel carried out several strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs on Monday, including one near the capital's main government hospital. 4 people, including a child, died in that attack. 24 others suffered wounds. In Gaza, the dead and wounded from airstrikes on the Jabalia camp are being brought to this hospital. Screaming children and wounded adults are being treated on the hospital floor. While all of this is going on, the heads of the United Nations World Food Program and UNICEF have privately appealed to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They want him to help alleviate the suffering of civilians in Gaza, the West Bank, and Lebanon. Patel says Blinken will also raise humanitarian issues during his meetings.
The Secretary will also underscore that additional food, medicine, and other urgently needed humanitarian aid must be delivered to civilians in Gaza. He will also discuss the need to reach a diplomatic resolution in the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah that fully implements UN Security Council Resolution 1701 and allows civilians on both sides of the blue line to return to their homes. And lastly, he will reaffirm the U.S. commitment to work with partners across the region to de-escalate tensions and providing lasting stability.
Blinken is more likely to have success on the humanitarian front than a ceasefire. Last week, the U.S. warned Israel it would withhold some military aid if the humanitarian situation in Gaza is not improved. But as far as a ceasefire, it seems as far off as ever. On the weekend, Netanyahu said nothing will deter Israel, and it will continue to fight until victory.
Hamas is holding 101 hostages in Gaza, who are citizens of 23 countries, citizens of Israel, but citizens of many other countries. Israel is committed to doing everything in our power to bring all of them home. The axis of terror that was built by Iran is collapsing before our eyes. Nasrallah is gone. His deputy Muhsin is gone. Haniyeh is gone. Def is gone. Sinwar is gone. The reign of terror that the Iranian regime has imposed on its own people and on the peoples of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen, this too will come to an end. All those who seek a future of prosperity and peace in the Middle East should unite to build a better future. Together, we can push back the forces of darkness and create a future of light and hope for all of us.
Thomas I. Likeness, Net 25 World News.
New developments emerging in the investigation into a tragic helicopter crash near downtown Houston. Questions are being raised about whether the tower was adequately lit. Security cameras captured a faint glow of a helicopter against the dark night sky just seconds before catastrophe struck. The helicopter, a privately owned single-rotor craft, was confirmed to have 4 people on board, including a child. Unfortunately, all 4 lost their lives in the crash, and their identities have not yet been released. Police reported that multiple items are being discovered in the debris, with the scene expanding significantly. Flight data indicates the helicopter was flying at around 600 feet when it struck the more than 1,000-foot-tall tower. The FAA has noted that lights on the radio tower were reportedly inoperable. Investigators are currently examining a debris field that spans about 4 acres. Although the tower is surrounded by homes and businesses, there were no damage or injuries reported on the ground. Officers will continue to monitor the scene throughout the day and into the evening. And the news continues. Net 25 World News will be back.
It is a signal to the world that we are open for business.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos. Every Sunday, 9 p.m.
Net 25.
A concerning trend has emerged in Japan as cases of mycoplasma pneumonia continue to soar. For the 3rd consecutive week, the country has recorded its highest number of cases since 1999. Mycoplasma pneumonia is a respiratory illness caused by bacteria. Children are particularly susceptible to infection, which can spread through both water droplets and physical contact. Symptoms often include fever, fatigue, headaches, and a persistent cough that can last for over a week. In severe cases, patients may require hospitalization due to pneumonia or physical weakness. According to data from the National Institute of Infectious Diseases, the average number of reported cases per medical institution has been steadily increasing, according to an NHK report. The week ending October 13 saw an average of 1.95 cases per institution, the highest figure recorded since the current tracking method began. Fukui Prefecture has been hit particularly hard, with an average of 5.67 patients per institution. Aichi and Kyoto also reported high numbers of cases. Professor Oishi Tomihoro from Kawasaki Medical School has also warned that the number of cases is likely to remain high as we enter the winter months. The disease spreads more easily in colder weather, making preventative measures crucial. And to help curb the spread of mycoplasma pneumonia, Professor Oishi recommends wearing surgical masks in schools and other crowded areas. And this simple step can significantly reduce the risk of infection.
A team of South Korean researchers has created a new aerial cargo transportation platform called Palletron. This innovative device combines a cargo pallet with a multi-rotor drone, essentially functioning as a flying shopping cart.
Palletron is the newly developed platform to overcome the limitations of the conventional aerial cargo transportation. It contains an exoskeleton, so therefore it is very safe from the human contact, and also it can carry the payload very easily without changing the attitude of the payload, so it can provide a very good potential for future payload transportation.
One of the most remarkable features of Palletron is its ability to be controlled through direct human interaction while remaining stable in the air. This means that people can load and unload cargo onto the pallet by simply applying gentle force, even while walking on stairs.
This technology has some good characteristics. For example, like it can move in an uneven, unpaved terrain or stairs where the conventional cart cannot move. When we just push the platform and pull the platform, and if we can make the platform to move accordingly, then we can control the motion of the platform. Then we can think about putting the cargo payload on the top of the side and move those platforms with using the human-robot interaction technique. Then this becomes an e-cart. So this is the reason why we have developed this Paletron shopping cart. We made a new algorithm called Mathay, which is motor-free online center of mass estimation algorithm. And with utilizing those algorithms, we were able to estimate the center of mass, updated center of mass position very accurately. So therefore, we are able to carry the cargo, the unknown cargo, without changing its attitude. So the Paletron is not just a flying shopping cart. It can be used, so using the platform's capacity to maintain its attitude, it could be used as an air taxi industry, or it could be used as the general base platform for future aerial robotic tasks. And we are also developing a new technology called aerial docking, which can dock during the mid-air, and then using those technology, we are now preparing an aerial battery change applications, which means that you can maintain a flight even without coming back to the ground and changing the batteries.
And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on Net25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
This